Good evening, and welcome back. Tonight we'll be coloring a little sketch I call Frisky Drake. Everyone knows that dragons can be a bit mischievous at times, and the little ones even more so. I've always had a soft spot for dragons. You see, I'm a bit of a hoarder myself, so I can empathize with their desire to collect pretty things. If only it didn't get them in so much trouble with all those adventurer types. Oh, I know there's no real lasting joy to be had in amassing wealth. I know dragons are supposed to be a kind of cautionary tale for us. Don't be too greedy or you'll wind up some kind of scaly, cold-blooded monster all alone atop your pile of gold. The real treasure was the friends you made along the way. Yeah, right, old man. At least that's how dragons are portrayed in Western mythology. I suppose it's different in other cultures. In some places, dragons even get to be the good guys, or at least not just villainous, overgrown lizards. I guess I just like pretty things. Back when I worked in Seattle, there was a jewelry store that I walked past every morning on my way to the office. I would often stop to admire the jewelry in the windows, displayed to full effect beneath gleaming white lights. My favorite piece was an engagement ring they had on display in the very last window along the sidewalk. It featured a large yellow diamond as its central stone, and I do mean large, well over 3 carats in size. I had always preferred the look of white diamonds, but this stone shone like liquid golden fire. Its facets glittered like stars in the cold white light. I stopped every morning for a month or so just to stare at this ring in the window. I'd never seen a stone that beautiful before. It awakened within me a strange fascination. What would it be like to hold a thing like that in the palm of my hand? What would it be like to wear it? To own it? Not just looking at it through a window, but owning it, calling it mine. Of course, it was sized for a smaller hand than mine. I doubted the ring would even fit on my little finger. But they could resize it, couldn't they? They were jewelers. They could, no doubt, pop the stone out of its setting and put it into something a bit more robust, more arcane looking. Silly fantasy, I told myself as I turned and headed toward the office each morning. I had work to do, and certainly I couldn't afford such a thing. But what if I could? It wouldn't hurt to ask how much the ring was, would it? Still, I couldn't work up the nerve to actually walk into the jewelry store and ask a real person face to face. That would be way too... ugh. But the thought wouldn't leave me alone. And one day, when I had nothing else to do at work, I emailed the jeweler. I described the piece that I was interested in and complimented the artisan on their work before inquiring just how much they were asking for it. I soon received a very friendly response from the jeweler with the ring's listed price. The ring with the golden stone cost roughly 3 times my yearly salary at the time. I thanked them for their quick response, but informed them, sadly, it was a bit out of my price range. I stopped walking past the jewelry store for a while after that. I turned down a different street on my way to the office. I mean, who would even spend that much on a piece of jewelry? I guess we all have this image of the guy with the gold-plated iPhone wearing a t-shirt that cost more than my first car. Rest in peace, old crow. There are people who indulge in conspicuous consumption, squandering their money as fast as they can. I consider it a kind of psychosis, like people who collect old fast food wrappers or Precious Moments figurines. But surely, you couldn't build your entire business model around catering to a few insane people, could you? I mean, even if I had that much money just laying around, I'd never be able to spend it on a ring. How could I in good conscience ever lay down 3 years of comfortable living salary for something that might slip from my finger when I'm trying to evade a horde of angry orcs? I couldn't conceive of any scenario where a person like me would ever be wearing a ring like that. Maybe if I somehow saved the head jeweler's life, and they were so grateful that, no, probably not even then. It made me sad because I really liked that ring. I mean, I know it's stupid. Just buy a cheaper ring, you doof. And I did. I bought a nice ring at a gem and mineral show for like $60. It's got a big-ass yellow cubic zirconia and a nice silver setting. I can polish it up and it sparkles well enough. If I ever do lose it, I would feel a little bad. But I would hope that somebody else would find it and enjoy it as much as I did. Then I could go looking for another ring. Win-win, you know. But it's not the same. That CZ is never going to glitter the way that diamond did. Ever. And I know I'm always going to feel that little twinge of regret. I mean, it's not even regret, because regret implies that there was something I could have done differently. That ring represents something not me. It represents a world that I will never, ever be a part of. And honestly, I'm fine with that. I never wanted to be rich. I know that sounds like a BS thing to say. Everybody wants to be rich, whether they admit it or not. But not really rich, like yachts and servants and crap like that. And you have to be really rich to wear a rock like that on your hand. I want to have enough money not to ever worry about if I can afford to go on a vacation. If I can afford to go to the dentist. I mean, there's, we're going to the steakhouse for dinner tonight, honey, rich. And then there's, have my manservant warm up the ornithopter, rich. I'm fine with the first kind. I guess I just wish diamonds were cheaper or something. Maybe in some not-too-distant future, I'll be headed out to the shop to fire up the fusion generator to power my home gemstone crucible or something. I'll have a whole pile of almost flawless diamonds spilled all over my workbench. And my wife will be like, "You promised to throw away all the bad ones." And I'll hiss at her, "Mine!" So, yeah, I don't really know what I was trying to say here. Dragons are cool, I guess. Sometimes I think back and wonder what I might have done differently. What I would do differently if I had my life to live over again. I mean, it would be an absolute nightmare to really go back into your younger self all Quantum Leap style, knowing all the horrible things that you wouldn't be able to change no matter how hard you tried, and all the wonderful things that would never happen now just because you rolled the dice a little differently. I love my wife and kids too much for that. But what would it be like to be young again and still have the confidence and strength that a lifetime has earned you? But it doesn't work that way. I made choices and I stand by them. They've done all right for me. One of the last things my father told me before he died was, never regret anything. I guess there's more than one way to interpret that, but I always took it to mean that at the end of his life he saw that regret was pointless, worse than pointless. It was poison. I've done my best to do as he told me, and I don't regret that I will never be the kind of man who can drop obscene amounts of money on useless trinkets, no matter how sparkly they are. I guess that's why dragons just steal them from the dwarves. Maybe that's why I like dragons. Amoral little scamps, aren't they? Ah well, perhaps it is a bit of wish fulfillment on the part of the saintly old men who tell us cautionary tales about those naughty old dragons. Dragons have always been just some big scaly Chad grabbing all the golden damsels in sight. What does it say about us that we keep retelling those stories? That we keep telling each other not to covet the shiny stuff, but secretly, we kind of do it anyway. It was a nice ring. And I hope somebody is wearing it right now and appreciating the way the light hits it. Because beautiful things should be appreciated. And it didn't cost me a thing for the month or so that it was mine to appreciate. Every morning on my way to work. They even kept it nice and polished for me. I wish I'd had the wisdom to keep appreciating it at the time, instead of slinking around a different route to the office. But I didn't have that kind of wisdom then, and I let things bother me that really shouldn't have bothered me. I guess the way I still let some things bother me now that I should probably just ignore. Well, I'm not perfect yet, I suppose. There's still a little dragon in me, I guess. Maybe there always will be. We can't all be talking snowmen, dispensing inoffensive morality tales in song form. There's still a place in this world for dragons, if only to make everybody else look better by comparison. So, you're welcome, world. Maybe don't be so hard on yourself for doing a little window shopping from time to time, so long as you know where your real treasures lie. And no, it wasn't inside us all along, you stupid snowman. Vermithrax pejorative, dude. Just let it go. Some people. Anyway, our little guy here is having a good time. And I hope you did too. I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.